All right, really quick before talking about The Stand, which I am halfway through. I want to give some channel updates. I used to do these sorts of, I'd get the green screen out and I would do these videos. Now, the one on the bottom I did for my dad's 80th birthday, some stupid thing. But the one on top, this Dan and Aaron thing, like if you watched my last video, it was Dan and Aaron. It was created 3 years ago. I don't have the episodes up. I only did a few because I had this big idea of stuff that I wanted to, I was writing a lot at the time, and I still am writing, but I wanted it to be a way where I could kind of, I had all this lore behind Dan and Aaron, and it would, I was hoping to make like a whole season of it, but I had no subscribers. People didn't understand me, like the few that I had. I also, like when I had Dan and Aaron, when I named it that, there's also like some other Danny and Aaron. It's like these two, like, it's a totally different audience. This other Dan and Aaron that was showing up to my thing, like it was just weird. Now that I have my sci-fi, oh geez, now that I have my, I'm just looking at the bottom there. Now that I have my sci-fi kind of audience and Malazan and some people, I think I'm going to bring Dan and Aaron back, even if it's just at like a once per I better put that down so it's not distracting me. Once a month sort of thing. It was going to be a way where I could do reviews, but it was mostly about this other ridiculous sci-fi story that I wanted to just kind of act out and portray in this, with this Dan and Aaron. And so I think I'm going to bring that back. I think it'll be worth some laughs. It'll be silly and a lot of green screen. And I actually was really proud of it, and I just didn't have the time to do it. But I think I'm going to now. Now, I'm still going to keep doing the reading. Short story about this so far being halfway through, and this will be non-spoiler until I maybe get more to the spoiler stuff. But non-spoiler, I'm super into The Stand so far. This is only my second Stephen King book. I read The Gunslinger, which I was so intrigued by this main villain, especially, and Roland, the main character. And now going into this, it's like everything I was hoping, specifically around a main villain. And I'm so intrigued about it. Now, I was going through this and I thought I'm going to do one of these immersive audiobook reads, and I found like a free version of it. And I was going through and suddenly like names would be a little different and dates would be a little different. And I would like lose my spot with what I was hearing, and I would go back and it would jump forward like a page. And I found out that there is like there's the complete and uncut, and I had that in my hand, and sometimes it would go forward and I would kind of read some of the blurb thinking, oh, this is interesting. Why is this being skipped? So anyway, that was very confusing for the first while. And so I also decided, like, it was starting to get confusing with what he was saying in the audiobook. Like sometimes last names would be different. Sometimes it wouldn't even mention a person. I know that probably I should go through the complete version and just not do the audiobook if that's how that was going to be. I'm sure there's a complete audiobook. But I decided to actually put this away and just while I'm doing other things, just pure audiobook with this one. And it's been fun. But having said that, I obviously need to go back at some point and do the full experience of everything that this story has to offer, because I've seen a lot of stuff that as I was reading and listening to it, I would just skip through some other things, and it was very interesting. I don't know why I've spent I've taken so long to get to some of these books. I think it's because I'm not into like slasher movies. I don't like going to these kinds of movies, but I've always liked this in books. Like, I love Dracula. It's one of my favorite books of all time. And I can't discount, or whatever the word would be, how important Goosebumps books were for me growing up. I collected these. These were my, like, I was addicted to these books. They were everything to me. And I'm so surprised that I didn't clue in. Now that I'm older, there's an author that scratches that same itch. And I can't believe how old I've gotten not realizing that there's, obviously maybe not a lot of it, but things like, I can't tell you how excited I am to get to Salem's Lot, because I love the old school vampires that are just about being scary, and they don't have to have wicked abs and stuff, Vampires have so been hijacked. So I'm excited to get to that. I am so thrilled about, some of the content is a little much. That's why I don't like seeing it and hearing it. But when I'm reading it, I can kind of, it doesn't bug me as much. That's just a personal taste thing with media. But I still really, really like the stories. With my own writing, a lot of what I've been doing, like I've tried a lot of different formats. I've realized that a lot of what I like is kind of more episodic in nature. So I've tried that recently. I've tried things that are more like a 1980s Huckleberry Finn sort of thing. But my baby that I've been developing for forever and dipping my hand in, and I keep kind of imagining these different things, is more of a haunting kind of grim sort of thing. Now, I don't know why I didn't clue into this also, but reading Gunslinger and reading so far this halfway into The Stand and reading about this guy in black, and this is where it's going to maybe start to get spoilery. Reading about this villain, I think it made me clue in why I love Dracula so much as a villain when he's done right. Again, I don't really like the movies of it, but I love Dracula, the book. It's because they really inhabit the same sort of character. And it's the same reason why I like Melmoth the Wanderer. Very much that same prototype, not prototype, but the same, you know what I'm meaning. It's basically the same character, different name. So in my thing that I was writing, I have a character like that, and I've just called him Dracula because I'm like, I think of Dracula, even though he's not doing werewolfy stuff. In my mind, it's like, this is the Dracula kind of ultimate evil sort of character. I picture him, and I get the same picture of him. I'm more picturing, sorry for doing that, I'm more picturing this Randall character when I'm writing my own thing, even though I didn't know about the Randall character. But that's the sort of thing that I'm picturing, that I'm just so fascinated with, this kind of evil character that I think a great villain can really elevate fiction. So in The Stand, it's weird to say you're a fan of this man in black, this Randall guy or whatever, that they're all having dreams about, but it's true that a good villain is doing that, and that's totally doing that for me in this. It makes me want to write more and keep going with what I was doing, but I think with this Dan and Aaron thing, and some of the stuff I have planned, I'll be able to get some of that out, even though it's kind of hard to explain that here without doing it, but it'll be kind of an episodic form. And I hope that people will like it, because I'm still working on my writing, and I've realized it's hard. It's hard. and I've been working at it for a few years. I've written a few things that I wouldn't show to my worst enemy, trying to elevate how I can do it so that hopefully one day I can get this story out. But with some of this Dan and Aaron, I'm hoping that I can kind of share the world that I've been developing without sharing the story, if that makes sense, which it probably doesn't. Now, this just makes me so excited to get to the rest of the Dark Tower, and certain that this person who's, and this is a super spoiler, but this person, the man in black, this Randall guy who's invading dreams and stuff, that's this guy in the Gunslinger, right? Really, really, really intrigued by this. Really intrigued by this. I wasn't intrigued by the multiverse like Marvel. Like I bounced out of that by like Avengers 1. And I know it like Stormlight does some of that. It just didn't intrigue me. This is intriguing me in a way that is like, okay, this is finally for me. Again, with my history, just loving Goosebumps. I did painter tape because my daughter once saw this dummy and like lost it. So I've had to do painter tape on some of the stuff just in case. But just kidding. That's just for me. No, it's not. So I'm in. Subscribe if you want to see that, and I'm going to try to build a more structured way forward on this channel. Because sometimes when I did Malazan, it was like checking in every chapter, or anytime something just was interesting, I would turn on the camera and I would just flood the feeds. I'm going to try to build something more structured so that when people subscribe, they know what they are subscribing to. And it's not, and it'll also make it so I can just kind of follow more of a schedule without feeling like I have to jump on the camera every 2 seconds, like I did today. I'm going to finish The Stand with this audio book version, but I will go back to it. I will go back to the uncut version eventually. I don't know if I want to go right into the Dark Tower, the second one, right away. I kind of want to go into the Eyes of the Dragons, whatever that is, and the Talisman, or this Salem's Lot, or all of them before I go in. I think I would like to get more of these standalones before we continue on, because I'm still feeling excited about the Gunslinger in a way where I think it can wait, and that won't ruin the experience for me. And I'd like to get a few more of these under my belt. So anyway, I will talk to you guys really soon, I hope.